Hello and welcome to our live webinar this afternoon of the Dynago 85. And we are here in one of our demonstration centers in Heidelberg, where we have a complete range of machines for the packaging and commercial industry, from presses to pre-press, and also obviously the important part that we're talking about today, the post-press equipment, and that includes die cutters, hot foiling machines, and also folder gluers. Now on the screen in front of you, you'll see a few pointers for the webinar this afternoon. I think the two main important ones would be if you're having problems with the audio sound, it's better to dial in via a landline rather than your computer. And also during the presentation, there'll be the opportunity to ask questions, which normally appear on the right-hand side of your screen, and we will address those questions at the end of the presentation. During the presentation, I will actually ask you a couple of questions, and if you can kindly answer those just by hitting the relevant button on the screen, we can also then respond to those during the presentation. So as there's quite a lot to cover, let's get started. The machine, as I said before, is a Dynago 85, and presently the machine is set up to run this straight line carton, reverse tuck straight line carton, pre-fold increase lines 1 and 3, and then we will change over during this presentation into a lock bottom box. So a nice lock bottom box, so a complete changeover. And the reason why we want to show you this is that we can then show to you that we can actually reduce your make ready times and minimize the number of parts that we put into the machine and also take out of the machine to complete the make ready. So what's so special about the Dynago and what makes it part of the original Dyna family of machines? For those that you are familiar with the old company Jagenberg that was purchased by Heidelberg, this machine has a long tradition in folding carton manufacturing. The machines were first designed in 1970, and really Heidelberg and Masterwork subsequently have taken this machine technology and moved it on to a much higher level. And this is what we're going to show you today. But the key part of this is that we haven't compromised on the quality, the build quality, and also the facilities that we have put into the machines. So you're not buying a cheap end machine with low technology, you're still buying very high end and very high quality technology in a Dyna. A question for you. Do you know how many levels of folder gluers that Heidelberg can now offer? So again, if you can just hit the relevant button on the screen, and we'll address that point in a minute for you. So the production of all Dyna folder gluers are carried out at MK Masterworks in the original Jagenberg factory in Europe. And that proves that the Dynago comes from this great family of machines. And if you have a close look to those machines, you will see that the sturdy machine side frames, the intelligent design of the carriers, the belts, the bearings, and it's very easy then to see that we haven't compromised on the traditional values. And that's true across our full range. Now, we asked you the question a minute ago, how many different models we build. So there's the Dyna X, the Dyna Smart, the Dyna Easy, and now the Dynago. So 47% of you got it right. So obviously we need to work on the rest of you to make sure that you are fully kept up to date, and we'll obviously ask our sales reps to make sure you have the relevant information in the future. So really, what did we target this machine for? The markets we were looking to really address would be the short run packaging markets, ideally perhaps pharmaceutical carton production where run lengths get shorter and shorter. So an ideal machine would be the straight line version of this particular Dynago. And if you're working off a third crease pre-fold, we then have the option to keep the make ready times down to an absolute bare minimum. And we are literally talking minutes then. But it was also important to address bigger, wider markets. So certainly the markets in the Asian region, and also to find a solution for commercial packaging, commercial printers looking to develop a market into packaging, and also looking to have a machine that will cross over the borders between a folder gluer and an actual folding machine. And this is where it becomes interesting, perhaps for you guys, if there are any of you online, is to look at some of the sample cartons that we can now run. So typical samples that we can run down the machine over and above your standard straight line and lock bottom cartons would be some simple bottle carriers, some presentation folders. You see here chip scoops, so addressing the convenience food market. A little bit different, some button pouches or collar stiffeners for shirts. This is obviously a lighter weight stock, almost verging on paper, and document wallets. And then the more conventional carton styles of double wall, Euro slot hanging cartons, CD and pocket wallets, some sleeves, tapered cartons, and also miniature cartons. When we talk about miniature cartons, did you know that on all Heidelberg folder gluers, we can go down to the minimum size of 45. So that literally will take a pencil in the box. So that's 10mm panels. And whether it's the top end Dyna-X or also the Dyna-Go that we see in front of us here, the machines have the capability of going to down to all that minimum size. Another question for you. Do you presently run folder gluers in your factory? And if so, how many do you run? Again, there'll be some questions on the screen. If you could just answer accordingly. Again, it gives us some pointers for later on. So I'll just give you a moment to answer. This helps me a little bit with the presentation, because if you all come back and say nothing, then obviously it means that you're probably commercial printers as opposed to packaging printers. Okay, so that's obviously the case, as 73% of you don't presently run folder gluers. So maybe we'll focus a little bit more on some of the commercial applications as well. So as we have so many features we would like to cover, I think, Stefan, if we can ask you to change the machine over. So just before you do, if we can just have a quick look at the line running the straight line carton. So I'm just going to take one out the top. So on the straight line carton, we're pre-folding, so we literally pre-fold the first crease. We also pre-fold the third crease. And then in the final fold section, we're folding crease lines 2 and then crease lines 4 to produce our standard straight line carton. I think the important thing is, and some of us get hung up over the belt speed of a machine. The belt speed of this particular machine is 250 meters a minute, with the option of extending it to 300 meters a minute. But in reality, how many cartons, if you're running folder gluers, and only a small percentage of you are, actually run anywhere near those kind of belt speeds anyway? So on a lot of carton styles and a lot of boxes that we will run, we will get nowhere near the maximum belt speed. The speed there was something like about 200 meters a minute. And you're producing somewhere around about 50 or 60,000 cartons an hour. So we now will change over to the lock bottom carton. And while we're doing that, I will explain a little bit about the machine and some of the features within the machine, trying not to get in Stefan's way. So we'll start at the feeder, and we start at the general machine in total. We talked about the solid side frames, and this is a good example. This is where we haven't compromised: the quality of the side frames, the quality of the feeder, which obviously is the heart of the machine. If you can't feed a carton in squarely and deal with it properly, then there's no point in starting the folding anyway. So the feeder is built to the same levels as the Dyna-X's, the top end machines that we build. That also includes the type of feeder, the feeder belts, the feeder drives, and the ability to move the belts as we run larger or smaller cartons. Very simple, quick release facilities. And also probably pretty much unique now on any machine, we also have the ability to remove feeder belts throughout the whole machine. Sorry, feeder belts or any belt throughout the whole machine, not the feeder belts. And these we do with a simple 2-button adjustment here, and we unlock it, we loop the belt off, and we can put the belt on. We also see here that we have a vacuum assisted feeder, which is an option on the machine. So if you want to move the vacuum belt from one carrier to the next, that's also possible to do very simply. Other nice facilities, we have very quick adjustment of the pressure of the feed gate. We have a feed gate which we can actually turn over, and it has different profiles to help to reduce any marking issues that we might encounter. We then come into an aligning station. Now, the aligning station is something that's really been developed over the last 10 or 15 years in folder gluer technology. And this is really where we are now seeing a big benefit in reducing make-ready times from the feeder. And we're also seeing far better quality results. So we know that every carton coming out, we either square it either to the left-hand side or the right-hand side of the machine. We can also adjust the pressure still. Just by clicking over these little clips, we can knock the pressure off the rollers. We also have an aligning bar here, which we have the ability to make an adjustment of 50 millimeters. And that means that we can move the top carriage away from any aperture or window that's in the carton, again, to help with the quality and to reduce any marking issues. We come into the pre-fold section. On a straight line carton, we're really using it only to pre-fold the first and third crease line. You can see here, we have the first crease pre-fold plow, which also we house the code reader, which locks literally straight into here, so we can read the carton in its most stable position. As we're now changing over to lock bottom, we also use this section to mount our lock bottom hooks. So you're using the final half of the pre-fold also as a lock bottom module, if you like. And the first half of the pre-fold, we can pre-fold up to around about 100 degrees of the third crease pre-fold. Other important items on the machine. As you'll see, this is a standard carriage. This is the same carriage as in the Dyna X's and the Dyna Smarts, the high-end machines. And the beauty of these carriages, they're very light in construction. The profile on the top enables us to mount any lock bottom hooks or any brackets anywhere down the machine that we want to. All the bearings are running in one direction, so we're not fighting the material. We're not putting added strain on the material because we are making sure that the path is as smooth as possible, but also that we have control of the blank at all times. On the ends of the carriages, we have spring-loaded bearings, and that means we are also able to run corrugated material as well as some heavy material and also lightweight paper stocks without having to adjust all the spring tension all the way down the carriages. The pre-fold section is pretty much a two-carriage section with split carriages, so we have a little bit more flexibility in what we can fold. And as Stefan comes down the machine and just making some adjustment, if we can just wind back here, Clarissa, that'd be great. Stefan's just actually manually adjusting the carriages into position. Now these are digital indicators, so we can record the data that we set the job previously and manually then wind the carriages into the correct positions. And this obviously is a way of speeding up your make ready and making sure that your base of your make ready is consistent. So you don't start at one end of the machine and by the time you get to the other end, your carriages are out of position. So this is a good way of checking and making sure that you have a good stable production and reduce your make ready times. As we come down here into the bottom glue pot, again, this is a bottom glue pot that's designed for the top end machines. So we're using the same pot design, the same scrapers, the same wheels. And that's important if you have other Heidelberg machines, you have compatibility across the models. So the same glue wheel will fit in all of our models of machines. The inverted glue bottle, if you're running a lot of larger volume work, we can also run off a reservoir tank. And above the glue pot, we have a glue application system, which also can be linked into quality control. The code reader I was speaking about earlier, and also the glue application control systems that you can have on the glue guns themselves. This particular system is from HHS, but we also work with the likes of WH Leary or also Nordson, would be probably the three major suppliers to our pieces of equipment. Stefan, just before you put that into the machine, this is the lock bottom hook. Again, it's identical to the lock bottom facilities that we put into the major and the bigger machines. We can adjust the spring tension here, so you can adjust that on the run. And other nice little facilities, like we have a rubber buffer here, so you don't get the noise from the hook as it rides down. So the machine is also a little bit more user-friendly. And when we mount it, we mount the complete components. We don't want to be building them as we put them into the machine. And this is what I was mentioning earlier. Sorry, Stefan, I stopped you. You can mount that anywhere down that carriage where you want to put it if you're doing a special carton, maybe with a simple pickup flap or maybe a Euro slot. And your carton then will dictate where you can make these folds, but the machine doesn't really dictate where you have to make those folds. As we come a little bit further down the machine, you'll notice all the way down the machine there are cutouts in the machine. And this enables my operators to stand in the machine safely, because obviously we've guarded the machine properly in the first place, as is covered by the GS mark down here. But it stops me having to go around the machine to make my make ready complete. So it's very easy for my operator to get in there and make his adjustments. The final fold section is a traditional, really Jagenberg, Heidelberg technology, where you have a very positive left before right hand folding principle. So at no point do we lose control of the blank. You also see the wrap of the belts, the belt tensioner here. It's a one-hand tensioner. So it's very simple to change the belt and also then obviously to retension it. You have a variable speed pulley down here. The beauty of this particular machine is that we actually wrap the belt virtually the whole circumference of the pulley. And then with this lever here, we have the ability to change the belt speeds on the left and the right hand side. So if we do have any issues, perhaps we're running a little bit of corrugated, and because of the flute direction, we start to roll a little bit in the flute, we have the ability to influence how we can make that final fold in the end. Also have a nip section here, so we can actually crease a little bit the crease lines that we've folded. And then before we get to the trombone and the delivery, we have obviously the control panel here. So what Stefan has probably done, he's come down here and he's looked at the past jobs he's run, and he's going to do that for me anyway. He selects the job, so he's previously stored this information, and now he's going to send the information down to the machine. So what this now tells me is where I'm aligning. So I have a left and right hand alignment. I also have pre-fold. I also then know the feed length of the carton. So my feeder then is automatically set for that feed length. I then have an overview of the machine section by section. So I can also set my marker position, how strong I want to kick out a carton out of line. So if I want to kick the 50th carton, I can determine how far I kick it. We don't want to kick it too far on a lock bottom carton, otherwise we alter the pressure of the individual cartons. We can also set here plus minus the shingle, so we can increase the speed of the belt to try to get us a more accurate shingle. The trombone section is nice and long, and there's a reason for that. It's because we need some space to be able to eject the carton out of line. So in here we have a linear ejector. So the carton, if it's detected as a bad carton with the code reader, or also with a glue fault, we can pull the correct carton out of the stream. It goes into a bin on the side of the machine. The delivery conveyor, if we have the start-stop function available, will automatically stop the belt for a very small amount of time to make sure our shingle maintains a consistency and we don't again have issues with glue and glue bonding. So I think Stefan is pretty much there or thereabouts. He's just coming down to the stacking and the delivery and the conveyor. So this is a standard delivery conveyor. There is also options to have the extended version, which gives you another couple of meters. We also have on the top here a soft rubber belt, and this really makes up the differences in the thicknesses of a lock bottom carton, where on one side you have, or two sides, you have multiple layers of board, and in the middle you only have 2 layers of board. So that helps to make sure we get a good even glue pressure throughout the delivery conveyor. So I think the important thing really again to emphasize is we've now done the make ready between a straight line and a lock bottom carton. And really the number of elements that Stefan has put into the machine and likewise also taken out of the machine to achieve that make ready, we've kept it to a bare minimum. And when we have to put components in, we try to put complete units in. And I'll show you a couple of units in a moment. We'll just let the machine run for a while and we'll have a look at how we're running. So again, we're now running at 130 meters a minute. We're running around about 30,000 cartons per hour, but it's nice, stable production. You can see in here, and here, this is where our lock bottom hooks, and also down here, where our lock bottom hooks are picking up the relevant panels and making sure that we have a pre-fold of the third crease as well. So going back to some folding elements, on the board here we have, this is a typical shadow board where we can store our parts to make the life of the operator a little bit easier, so he knows where those parts are. Here is a folding module. These are the items that have been designed to, again, to speed up the make ready. So just by mounting these along the side of the carriages, we have a complete folding module. So we have a left-hand model and also a right-hand version. And we can also have the same in a Z fold. So we can make almost like a capacity in certain document wallets, for example. We looked at a standard hook. This is a special components. This would be for small lock bottom cartons. So we have a very small hook, so we can get the hook very close to the carriage for the small panels. And there's the plow. Again, it's a small plow. And we spoke about a code reader earlier. This is the code reader, which mounts directly into the PreFold plow. And that means that we can make sure that every carton in the machine should actually be in the machine. And finally, for those customers that want to run perhaps some document wallets with a buckle plate, or maybe just a large panel they need to fold from the front, we also have the buckle plate attachment that mounts in the machine here. Again, as I said before, because we have the ability to move carriages a little bit in the machine, it enables us to create space to make special foldings. So that was really a very brief summary of some of the highlights of the machine. Hopefully you found that useful. As we said before, the machines sit in the showrooms, pretty much are available for demonstrations all year round. And that will be from the Dyna-Go, the Dyna-Easy, the Dyna-Smart, and also the Dyna-X, as well as some peripheral equipment, some packers and pre-feeders. So as we promised, we did say that if there were any questions, we would ask them, and then we would answer them for you. Okay, questions come in. Do we have a solution to put at the end of the machine? Yes, we do. The Dyna-Go have a couple of options, really. The most common option would be an easy packer, which is a semi-automatic packing solution. Now, the advantage of a semi-automatic solution is it gives us the opportunity to pack carton styles like your lock bottom, straight line boxes, four corner, sleeves to a degree. And that basically will take the shingle of cartons. So you have your shingle of cartons coming through the delivery, and it will take the shingle and it will actually stand the shingle up, and then it will move the shingle to the side. And then the operator at the end literally picks up a bundle of cartons and puts them in the outer case. So it's a good way of increasing your output possibilities on your folder gluer. It doesn't put it automatically into the box. That would be the next level up, which would be a Dyna packer. And that is an option which gives you the full ability to pack straight line cartons, some four corner, some sleeves, directly and automatically into an outer case ready for shipping. But these options are all available in our showroom to show you, and certainly all our representatives should know a little bit about all these machines. So please open up some discussions with them regarding your packing requirements and also your folder glue requirements. There was one other question. Are the tools of the Dyna machines universal? Okay, certainly the latest generation of machines, so certainly anything that is Dyna-X, Dyna-Smart, Dyna-Easy, and also the Dyna-Go, those total compatibility of parts. The only exception would be on some of the longer machines, some of the parts may be slightly too long for a Dyna-Go, for example, but obviously they can be adjusted as well if necessary. But in general, it's safe to say probably 80 or 90% of parts are compatible, which I think is an important thing. And I think one other thing when we talk about parts, it's also important to mention that all these parts are stored in the worldwide logistics centers. So part reliability, availability of parts, it's exactly the same as you would expect from all your Heidelberg products. So we don't differentiate in press or post-press equipment. So hopefully that's given you a little bit of food for thought, and hopefully we'll see you again on another webinar in the future on one of our different machines. But hopefully you found that interesting, and I thank you for your attention, and we look forward to seeing you in Heidelberg in the near future. Thank you very much.